Hello everybody, welcome to another Arkham Horror the Card Game New Player Investigator Deck Guide. Today we're going to be talking about Jenny Barnes from the Dunwich Legacy. These Investigator deck guides are built with 2 copies of the core set and everything from the cycle in which this Investigator comes from. This is just because we imagine new players, they might not have everything, so you usually buy by cycle, so this will allow you, with Jenny, to build a deck with all the cards you have. If you only have 1 copy of the core set, we highly recommend picking up 2 or proxying the cards you don't have. It will make you win more. That's a PBG guarantee. Bryn, why don't you tell us a bit about Jenny? She's kind of...
Yeah. So obviously, as you can tell from the stat line, where we just have 3s, you can kind of do whatever you want with Jenny. She's like pretty malleable, and then her ability is also you just gain an extra resource during the upkeep phase. So she's not. It doesn't really press you in any sort of direction. This particular list is like an investigating focused list because I think with only Dunwich and the core set, that is like what she's best at. With more cards, you can do more things. Anyway, our unique asset, Jenny's Twin 45s, is one of the worst in the game. It costs infinite money, and it would be good if we were someone else, but we're not. So, fighting a +2 still only gives us a 5. It's not great. And this is like part 1 of where if you put different cards in your deck, like overpowers and more weapons, you could fight reasonably well.
Yeah.
But in this one, it's basically just a manual dex with an extra symbol.
Yeah. Because Jenny, as you said, is so malleable. It's kind of just like this deck is built. So there's a ton of other things you could do with weapons, but we're not doing that for this deck. This is for an investigating Jenny.
And then our weakness, searching for AZ. This is the main reason that we're playing an investigating focused deck, is because this gets attached to a location, and then for a double action, you can investigate it. If you succeed, instead of discovering clues, you find out that Izzy's not here. And get to discard it and not take a mental trauma. So obviously, if we have high intellect or high book, it's very, very easy to solve.
Yeah. One thing with Jenny is I've noticed is that new players will gravitate towards her a lot because her text line is so simple and her effect is so simple.
Too money.
Because, it's just you get more money. So let's show everyone, starting with the deck, we'll start with the core set cards first, of how you can help Jenny find all the clues she can. Flashlight.
Yeah, so with Flashlight, we get to investigate at a location with -2 Shroud. So it's like you get to investigate with 5.
Yeah, Flashlight's very good, and it's kind of like just an unsung hero, especially in these limited collection builds. Like, the card's even good.
Yeah, even these days, it still finds its way into some of my opening decks.
Yeah. Flashlight turns your 3 into a 4 when you're investigating, which makes it more likely for you to get those clues that you're going to be doing with this build.
Yeah, we've only got 1 magnifying glass in the list because we can only have 5 off-color cards, and the other ones are possibly a little more powerful.
Yeah. It also takes up a hand slot, which isn't really a problem because this build's not meant to play your guns, so you don't need to worry about that slot.
Yeah, the fact that the guns take up both hands is pretty much why it's a glorified skill card in this deck.
We have Switchblade, level 0, which we've said before on our channel, and we'll say again, is not a good card. I would say it is a bad card.
Yeah, no, you're right.
However, when we get to the upgrades...
not even the upgrades. Like, you're never paying. You don't... it's not from this cycle, I don't think.
It is.
It's from like Return 2, though.
It's in my list.
Okay.
Let me just check. You can keep talking. You do. I'll check this out.
I could be wrong. Anyway, the Switchblade is here because we're playing some cards that we're going to get to later on that help you buy your way past test difficulties. And the Switchblade just lets you bypass a fight test, and then you paid for it once, but it's like you did it twice. plus 1 resource and fast is not a huge cost to put it into play. And you'll have
We got Dr. Milan Christopher, who helps your book. So with this and the magnifying glass, you're investigating at 5, and you're getting resources when you investigate. You might, when you're a new player, we actually didn't say this in the loop video, but we say this enough. Hopefully you've got it. There's something called the Taboo List that you might have heard about. We recommend you don't play with it in your first games. So Dr. Milan Christopher, he is mutated to say, after you successfully investigate, exhaust him and gain 1 resource. That play as the cards as they're printed to start. And then, once you've got a few campaigns and a bigger collection under your belt, then start doing the Taboo List. Play without it for a bit. So this helps you get more, get clues and get paid for those clues. So you're making even more money than you were before.
Yeah.
Leo DeLuca.
33% more turn per turn, baby.
And it kind of is also like with Jenny Barnes as well, because you're kind of just there with all your stats. You can kind of just do everything as you were, and more of it is good.
Yeah. I think Dr. Milan is stronger in this particular build than Leo is, but Leo is also very good. And you do want to have one of your 2 powerful allies, because what are you doing with your money if not paying for something strong?
Well, Bryn, let's find out what they're also going to be doing with this money, because when I was building this deck guide, I enjoyed these additions, the Arcane Studies and Hard Knocks. Now, normally these cards aren't, like, they're not in a lot of our new player deck guides, even with a limited collection, but with Jenny, they're good.
Yeah, with like normally these cards are middling to okay. Just because they cost so much to use. However, with Jenny, like between Jenny and Dr. Milan and the Lone Wolf in the deck, we should be swimming in resources.
Yep.
So that should not be a problem, and we can use these cards to spend our resources to buff up our skills to pass more difficult tests.
Yeah.
So, like, this is pretty much why the Switchblade is there, because it means that you can, pay to increase your fight to like 6 or 7, and then fight once, and get. It's like you spent 2 actions fighting.
The Arcane Studies as well is also really nice, because, like, say you're at your 5 with Milan and the magnifying glass, pay 1 to go to 6. Gets you over the bump, you get the money back, and everything's like hunky-dory. Yeah,
just this way you've got the talents in the deck to cover any test that you might face, as long as you've got money to pay for it.
Yeah. Next we got Elusive, which is a very strong card because it allows you to evade each enemy engaged with you and move to a reveal location with no enemies. So there's a lot of action in this card for just 2 resources. And there's also one thing, when you're looking at cards, especially like in red, most of the cards that are reactive, or in purple, cost 1, so you gain your resource to be able to react to something that might show up in the next phase. And then with her, with Jenny, 2 is now your threshold. So Elusive is pretty much always active after the Mythos phase, which is nice. We got Sneak Attack.
It's just testless damage.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah. Hey, Travis, why is Guts good?
Oh, this is my part. Guts is good because it gives you 2 brain symbols, which, putting yourself up to 5 helps you pass most tests that the game will offer. But also, the game likes to make lots of brain tests against you from treacheries in the Mythos deck, the most common avenue through which the game will attack you. So being able to deflect those attacks is particularly important. In addition to this, Guts also lets you draw a card if you pass, which you should be because you're committing a card to it, and thus replaces itself. And so it's like you didn't even have it at
all. We also got 2 manual dexterities and 2 perceptions. Because she's sitting at 3 for all of her stats, these cards are good to get you to 5, and that's passing tests is good.
Yeah. The manual dexes could be like something else. The reason they're not overpowers in this pile is because we're not trying to fight.
Yeah. And then we got Unexpected Courage, which is like 2 more guts or other stat symbols that you might need for tests, or your friends might need for tests as you play.
The card draw on the guts, manual dexterity, and perception are actually particularly important for Jenny, because if you don't have, if you're missing a piece of your sort of engine, like your Lone Wolf to get you those extra resources to push you over the edge, or something like I think Arcane Studies gives you a book, or your Dr. Milan, or your Leo DeLuca to like really get you going. They kind of bridge the gap to get you there. They help you push through those tests while still trying to find those cards.
Yeah, help you continue playing the game while still trying to assemble.
Yeah.
The main engine.
Yes.
All right, let's get to the cards from the Dunwich that are in this deck. We have Fine Clothes. Did Bryn build this deck?
Yes. Yes, he did.
Yeah. Fine Clothes is mostly here because, like, what would Jenny be wearing if not fine clothes?
It's true. She needs to have them in her deck.
Yeah. Also, 1 money for a 1/1 soak is far from the worst rate of return you can get on that. And when this card is good, it's really good.
Yeah. Yeah, parlays will show up at strange
like
at strange times, and then you're thankful for your Fine Clothes.
Yeah.
2 copies of Lone Wolf, which, as Bryn was saying, gets you those extra clues to make your economy really flow. And you're also probably going to be alone a lot. Not just because you have Lone Wolf in your deck, but it's kind of like, you want to be alone when you have Lone Wolf in play. But also because you have 3 foot base, like you'll be able to get away from a lot of problems. One thing with Lone Wolf is that you should be aware of, because you choose the order in which players happen in the players take their turns in the investigation phase. You can have other players go before you, leave your location, and then at the start of your turn, you gain your money. So it's not when the investigation phase begins; it's when your turn begins.
Mm-hmm.
And then we got Think of Your Feet.
Yeah, Think on Your Feet is just, again, like since you're playing a Lone Wolf deck, you probably do want to be on your own a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And this deck is very poorly set up to deal with any monsters that are really, like any kind of tough.
Yep.
And Think on Your Feet just lets you, like, see ya, that's your problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Let's go to some upgrades. From the core set, we got Sure Gamble. This card's always fun. Play after you reveal a Chaos token with a negative modifier, switch it to a positive. Wow. It also costs 2 resources, so it's pretty much always active.
Yeah. One thing to note with this is that all of the symbol tokens, like the cultist, the squid, those tokens, they are all whatever their text is on the scenario card. That is like what the token says. So if you draw a cultist and the cultist says like -2 if you fail, do something, you can change it into +2 if you fail.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Even though they're not printed that way. That is how they work.
Yeah. Hot Streak gives you a bunch of money, which, as we know, Jenny loves.
Yeah, it's just a big pile of money.
Yep. It's also very easy to get active because of how much money you make.
Yeah.
If you have no money and you draw a Hot Streak, you're going to have 3 money at the start of your turn if Lone Wolf's in play. And you're like, let's just gain 7. It's very easy to get this thing going. All right, now let's get into the Dunwich Legacy upgrades. This is weird seeing Charisma here, but Charisma is actually from this cycle. You don't need to proxy it. You can actually just put it into play.
So Charisma is mostly here because, like, Leo DeLuca is one of the strongest cards in your deck, and the next most strongest card in your deck, possibly stronger than Leo, is Dr. Milan Christopher.
Mm-hmm.
But you can only have one of them in play at a time.
Yeah.
Or can you?
Yeah, now you don't need to think about it. It's just there.
You can just have both of them. Play the 4 action turns and get +1 book and +1 money every time you successfully investigate.
Oh my god. You'll
like
be so resource rich. Also, one thing. Okay, so this it's something for you to just be aware of, everybody. It's not recommended, but if you have to ever investigate a location through an action, but you gain no clues, but you still succeed, you will still gain money from Dr. Milan Christopher. Because he just cares when you investigate successfully.
Mm-hmm.
We also got Streetwise, which is permanent and is absolutely killer for this build.
Yeah. So like with the Streetwise, this kind of ties into the next card as well with the adaptable. Like maybe you don't need the Hard Knocks or the Arcane Studies quite so much anymore. Mm-hmm. So you could use the adaptable to turn the Arcane Studies into some different cards of any color if you wanted to, because the main thing they're there for is the book bonus, which this provides.
Yep.
However, if you're finding that you use the plus brain a lot, yeah, you don't have to get rid of them either. This one's just always here, so you always have that choice.
And you can also still switch them, like assuming you haven't, you still only have 5 colored cards from other colors. You can still switch those arcane studies into other things of those colors, or other colors as well.
You could also is there one that's punch and brain? Is that the blue one?
I think so.
Yeah, like you could use the adaptable to switch your arcane studies into those and still get complete coverage for your stats, while just having one that's always in play that you didn't need to find or pay for.
Yeah. Yeah, so these 3 cards are all permanent as well, which means they're always in play, so they're always active. Like Streetwise especially is a huge boon for Jenny in this deck. And then we got upgraded Switchblade.
Yeah, it's just like normal Switchblade, but so much better.
So much better.
Actually good.
Yeah. So this one gives you the +2 that you need to succeed by to deal the extra damage, so you kind of just have to pay to pass the test. And that's what this one does. It is much better than the regular Switchblade, although unless your team is lacking damage, probably not a priority upgrade. Although if you're using Switchblade a lot, definitely.
Then if you find you're using a lot, get that upgrade ASAP.
If you think you want to upgrade to that Switchblade, you also probably want to strongly consider putting overpowers into your deck.
Yeah.
With which adaptable you can do for 1 experience.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Wow.
You can just,
Lucky dice, or are they, Bryn?
No, they're not. You pay 2 resources for them, and then they remove them from the game.
Now,
why the hell is this here?
Yeah. Now, what if you're not cursed like you are? What's the point of Lucky Dice?
Yeah, so Lucky Dice is just another piece of the buy your way past tests part of this deck set. Where if you have, like maybe you're testing a 5 to 3 and you draw a -3, or even the red token. If you draw the red token without using the Lucky Dice, you can use the Lucky Dice to draw past it to a different token.
Yep.
And you can keep paying for it as long as you have resources for on the test that you're trying.
Yep.
So you can keep rolling, but every time you do, it's more likely that these dice will prove to be unlucky.
Yeah. Or if you're Bryn, the first reroll.
Yeah. It's the first time you do. You're like, I paid 4 resources for this.
So of note, these are also all exceptional. So even though they have 2 pips for their experience, they actually cost double what's shown for all these cards.
Yes.
So they're very expensive, but they do exciting things. Ace in the hole. So this costs 6 experience, but it's fast and gives you 3 additional actions. It gives you a whole extra turn.
Yeah. Yeah, how many clues do you think you could pick up with that?
100% extra turn.
Yeah.
The gold pocket watch. This one costs 8 experience because it's exceptional, but this one's actually like not just 100% more turn for you, it's 100% more turn for everybody at the table.
Yeah, or 0% turn for the game.
Yeah,
or 0% turn for the game. Yeah.
So some people might not know, what's our advice if we had to just quickly sum it into like something? What do you want to usually do with it, and what would make you want to skip the Mythos phase? What would make you want to replay the player phase?
So it's like mostly monsters.
Yep.
If there's monsters in play that need to be dealt with right now, then I would like to repeat the player phase so they don't get a chance to attack before we get to play our 3 more actions. But if there are no monsters in play, I'd skip the Mythos phase.
Maybe.
Yeah, you get to run the upkeep again.
Yep.
So for like Jenny, it basically means that this pocket watch costs you nothing.
And when do you want to repeat the Mythos phase?
Whenever one of my teammates refuses to kill the monster that I'm engaged with, that is difficult to evade. And I'm
whenever I want to have my temper tantrum, that's when I do that.
Yeah. When I'm like irrationally upset with my team.
Yeah. That's Jenny, though. She's very straightforward. And as Bryn said at the beginning, you can take her so many different directions. If you like on Arkham DB, which you can find the deck list with the write-up below the video, there's tons of other Jenny Barnes deck lists out there. I imagine there's definitely some that build also with just the Dunwich Legacy. Cards outside, it also opens up for her.
Popular investigators.
Yeah. and cards outside of Recycle explode the possibilities. So if there's any recommendations for builds or cards or even deck lists from people who are watching this, comment down below the video. We love reading them. If you have any recommendations for investigators we should do next, let me know. Otherwise, have a good one. We love you. And as always, GG's.